We appreciate our new subscribers. We are at 107 subscribers currently. Welcome to our community. Today in our essential community, what we're discussing is deeds and trusts, as well as uh, how they relate to mortgages. Okay? And so the title of this actual broadcast is um, home mortgages, because that's what we'll be discussing in this broadcast. I'm going to scroll over to just show you some of the topics that we cover. All right, and these are some of the latest topics that we're covering uh, in Eagle Legacy Court Forum. This is a series of documentation and learning, discussion about the law and its perimeters, jurisdiction, standing, and related topics to um, administrative law procedures. So that would include probate court and its procedures and policies to submitting documentation. If you are submitting a will, or if you are wanting to officiate a trust. Some people are forming trusts in the private and expecting them to be private, and then submitting their documents into the court, not understanding that it is no longer private when you do that. The requirements to forming a trust and operating in commerce, if the trust entity is operating in commerce, then there's a requirement for you to uh, have documentation in the record to that effect. So people got to understand, when people saying, oh, you have to do this, you need to do this, you need to understand who or what are they referring to, because that may not be applicable to you. They're speaking to the people that it's applicable to. Corporations that form trust as well. People got to stop thinking that, only individuals uh, can form a trust, or only corporations can form trust, or only the government can form trust. Okay? And everybody forms trust every day with somebody. When you're driving along the side of another person in a separate vehicle, you're trusting that they're going to stay on their side of the line. That's what a traffic infraction is. When they're traveling and they cause some type of damage or infraction with the way that they're proceeding to travel. And so we got to be understanding of what these words mean, so that when we talk about, I have a right to travel. Yes, you have a right to travel. Nobody's negating that you have a right to travel, but what you don't have a right to do is cause liabilities. What you don't have a right to do is present liabilities. What I mean by present liabilities, if you seem like you're a careless person that need to have, we need to have some insurance that when you do fuck up, because we expecting you to fuck up more than we expecting you to do the right thing, based on the fact that you don't want to be accountable to nothing. That's immaturity. That's not maturity. Accountability is maturity. People that want to hide and be everything to be private is because they're hiding um, They're hiding because other people told them that that's what they're supposed to do. And they're telling them that that's what private means. Well, I tell you all a lot of my personal experiences, but the truth of the matter is, you don't know me privately at all. That's what privacy is. I withheld, just like they in taxes, they withhold taxes. I withheld the private portion. I withheld that. And I only gave you information that I'm okay with disseminating in the public. Information that I would write in a book or something like that. Okay? Because this is a book that I'm writing. This is my Bible, Queen Candy version. Okay? So let's get started. We're going to discuss this topic of mortgages and loans and what is really going on in the picture. But what we're going to do, we're going to use um, this channel as a focal point because of content in this video. And I have been watching a couple of videos from this channel, um, KW Estate, and she has some very um, good information. It flows free in the content, even if it's an hour. You will find that you'll be watching and listening for that hour, and you won't feel like, oh man, I need to uh, scroll to something else, because you'll be consistently getting good information, examples, and so forth to engage you to wanting to absorb the information that's being provided. If you're on that level, it's very engaging. However, she is speaking from her perspective of what she has learned. From what I saw, let's go to the video. Okay? A lot of people like the video, so do I. But this was created in June of 2025. Okay? Now, I'm not sure if this was an upload from an older video content, and I'm not sure what the latest update to the circumstances concerning um, her mortgage, but she's going to give an example of her personal situation in dealing with with the mortgage company and their service provider that send her bill every month. Okay, and I'm going to point out some key factors that all the viewers need to be aware of, okay, when you're watching these type of videos, that people are speaking from their personal experience. You don't know what type of documents they submitted or did not submit. Uh, Not submitting proper documentation is just as harmful to your case as submitting documents. Please be aware of that. I'll keep reminding you because it's very pertinent in your success in dealing with um, getting remedy. A lot of people are using the word remedy when it is not applicable to the situation. Uh, you get remedy for uh, liability or someone who has created a liability, and the court offers you remedy to make you whole. The remedy is what will make you whole, what will restore you back to your original state. Okay? So if you're processing a will, that is not a remedy. That is something that you already have uh, some level of wealth And now you would like to secure that with an instrument that says, this is mine, that's mine, I have this amount of money in this account, I have that amount of money in that account. Okay? Speaking about bank accounts, referencing bank accounts or financial instruments, bonds, certificates, whatever. And you would then itemize that so that in the event that you pass, your beneficiaries don't have to seek for where your assets are. They are all um, in one place, one or two places, or wherever they are. There's an account. You've got given account for where everything is and how to find it and what to do with it. Okay, that's called provisions of the trust. And um, if a person creates a trust for business purposes, it would be worded totally different. So you can't just say trust, 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 because people not understanding what a trust is. Trust don't even have to be written. It's an understanding. You trust somebody to do something. Okay? We don't have an understanding with the police officer, no written contract directly. Okay? But when their agency applied for to be funded by the federal government, in that contract they made an agreement with the general public. When they put in their bylaws and they made a statement or clause that they were for public benefit and without any um, reserve um, or discrimination, race, creed, or color, beliefs, or anything. They also made a covenant that of equality with the public, with the general public. Okay, and because when these type of structures are created, it is for public benefit. It's almost understood that the public will not contest it because it is beneficial. Okay? But when it's not beneficial, you can contest it. That's the reason you can contest it. All right, let's move on. Let's get started.
Deployed in the military, and so I was sort of like insulated from all of this disaster that was happening, but we did hear about it. Like when we were deployed, we heard that something bad was happening in America, that people were losing their homes, they lost their jobs, people were going to jail. Okay, so we did hear while I was deployed about what was happening in the housing market, but that really didn't apply to me. I'm 22. I barely know, okay, how to get a car at this point. You know what I mean? How to go to the dealership and negotiate a good deal for myself to get a car. So if I don't know how to do that at 22, I darn sure don't know anything about, mortgages. I just know that there was a mortgage housing collapse in 2008. Now, because I'm a homeowner, I did go back and I researched and I read up on, okay, so what led to this? And that's what I found out. That's when I found out, like, okay, so the government was federally guaranteeing these loans. And then when I got a securitization audit, I found out that my mortgage servicer, which is, all y'all know, is Planet Home Lending, they're not holding my mortgage. The federal government is. Okay, so I'm going to briefly go over just bits and pieces of my securitization audit. I'm not going to make any recommendations to you about what particular company you might want to go along with. I'm going to leave that to you to do your own research to find out what company I would like to go with. You negotiate with that company. What is a reasonable price that you can afford? Okay.
Do not get a consolidation loan until you see this. Hey, Mario Lopez here, and if you're thinking about getting a consolidation loan to combine your
Don't do it.
And then I'm kind of going to go over with you also. So just to finish up that thought before I leapfrog into something else. So I'm not going to give you any suggestions on what companies to go with to get your securitization audit. I want to leave that to you to decide, okay? Because the securitization audits, they're different audits. And some audits, they're like this full forensic audit. And then you have some audits that kind of just give you like a basic, okay, this is what happened. This is where your mortgage is. They can, basic audits can give you CUSIP numbers, which is very valuable. That is the whole purpose of this video, is to kind of tell you about what I've been doing while I've been away as far as mortgages are concerned. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my securitization audit. I am going to create an ebook with my securitization audit to give you the pros and cons of securitization audits, because I've researched securitization audits, and I thought that if, I got a securitization audit and it armed me with all of this information, I would have concrete evidence against the mortgage servicer that of fraud, of corruption, of banking fraud, and all these things that we talk about all the time. But as I started to read court cases where individuals paid for securitization audits, and they went to the court, and I'm just thinking like, oh, well, they got securitization audits, surely they're going to win their court cases. No, they did not. And a lot of the cases that I've read where the borrower or the homeowner had a securitization audit, the judge did not care. Okay, so I want to tell you the pros and cons of a securitization audit, and I want to bring to your attention other ways that you can use your audit to work to your benefit, just like I did. Okay, so in my securitization audit, okay, the first page, section 1, just kind of goes over, it was me by myself when I purchased the home. With VA loans, if a veteran and their spouse or significant other decides to get a mortgage together, then in terms of let's say being tax exempt, some veterans are tax exempt depending on if you're let's say 100%. So if you're 100% and you qualify for tax exemption, and you apply for a loan with your spouse who is not military affiliated, that 100% tax exemption is cut down to 50%. I think some veterans kind of already know that if you have mortgages, so it just makes the most sense to go into the mortgage on your own. So it's just me on the mortgage. And so, all right, so section 2. Now, this is the important part. This is the information that I did not know. Okay, so you guys know Planet Home Lending, and they were the ones stating that, hey, we own the note. The note is in our possession. We have all the rights of enforcement, blase, blase, blase. But the securitization audit revealed that Jenny Mae Remick Trust is holding my mortgage, okay? Not Planet Home Lending. Jenny Mae is holding my deed of trust, which is the opposite of what Planet Home Lending stated. They stated that they had the mortgage, which is not true, okay? And so I found all of this information out through my securitization audit. I'm going to read to you this part.
Now, I would like to, I'm stopping right here because I need to clarify, all right? I was gonna stop when she said that a lot of people lose their cases because they think. Notice she said because they think they really got the silver bullet when they obtain a securitization audit. Okay. Now, as she explained, there are two different audits. You can ask for the simple version and you can ask for the detailed one, okay? That's a file request for information. It's called at arm's length. The legal term for that when you're requesting documentation is you're requesting this information at arm's length. Okay? Information at arm's length. That means you don't want the summarized version. You want the full, detailed version and account of what transacted. Because the reason they send you that summary is because the summary is purpose to disguise what's going on in uh, the detailed report. Okay? And also, when you get the report, you need to know how to read the report. You need to understand what you have in your possession. And if you thought that the courts ignored your documentation, it is because you didn't understand. You most likely did not enter it into evidence properly. Okay? People got to learn. I had to learn that I was submitting my evidence into the court, and I was mailing it certified, marking it as exhibits, and entering it into the courts. But when they do not distinguish it as an exhibit, you have to look at the court docket and see how they received it. If they did not receive it properly, then you need to question that on the record and ask them, why was that record not entered in as you recorded it? It was evidence, and why is it not recorded on the docket as evidence? I don't see a record of that I submitted this um, on such and such a date, and have your certified information of that you mailed it, and your evidence that it stated on the document, in the title, what it was, or it was marked properly, that it was an exhibit, and that you had the case number on there. That's one thing I didn't do properly at first. I didn't put the case number on all the documents that I was submitting. You have to put the case number, uh, the names of the people who are involved in the case, so that they properly categorize your documents if you're sending them in the mail. And for people who are making claims that the court didn't accept your documents, uh, stop going in there and requesting that they be received. You don't request that they receive your documents. It's not a request. So why would you allow someone to reject something that's not a request to begin with? And the way to get around that is mail it. Mail it in. They can't stop the mail. Mail it. They're not supposed to do anything that interrupt or intercept the mail process. That's the root of the law, where law and service and notice is first documented by mail. And so you have to go back to the root and handle things old school way. Okay? Make sure you get your records, your documentation on the record. If you don't see it on the record, make a record of that. When my documents were not shown on the record, when I sent my brief in for the appeal, I made mention of that I had already objected to standing, and that my documents had not been received or considered. No consideration was given to the documents that were submitted. and then claims were made, allegations were made on the record that no answer was given, okay, or an equivalent of an answer. And I did write the judge a letter first off the rip and responded. When he ignored that, I sent a legal answer. They ignored that. So all of that is procedural errors, okay? Which I could point out to the appellate court to show cause that this case has not been properly handled, okay? I also pointed out that the seller was committing, and his attorney was committing fraud on the court because the attorney also received notice from my office that he was pursuing a case that was improper. And so, according to the code of conduct, he was supposed to recuse himself and tell his client that he can no longer proceed with representing him on this case because he's been presented that with some genuine issues of facts that preclude that his client was trying to involve him in a crime. And so he can easily say, you do still have to pay me because you got me involved in this. You got to pay me for my time I spent already. But what I'm not going to do is act on your behalf any further and send his client a letter of resignation. Also, if I was him, I would cover my butt and send a letter to the board to inform them of the reason why he recused himself. Okay? So that it be on the record if that client try to sue him for malpractice, he done already beat them to the drawing board by getting a record that the client was the one that was doing something illegal. That's unclean hands, okay? So the client can't do shit about that. But take his crooked ass on and pay somebody else. And so, since he did not do that, then he's responsible for the illegal proceedings and the fraud on the court. Okay? Now, when people get these type of documents, this is a an audit, all right? And it's considered a forensic accounting, okay? And what it is a report of what was done with what, all right? And how did they securitize your note that you gave them, your promissory note for your house. And people who purchase a house know exactly what I'm referring to. And that's what this broadcast is in reference to, people who are either purchasing a house, so you get an understanding before you get into contract, um, and people who are in processes of purchasing a house that would like to be well informed before they get a loan. Okay, this lesson is for people, and information is for people who um, are getting into setting up an institution for private lending. Okay? Because many times people who are receiving these loans for private lending are not understanding why your so-called silver bullet didn't work in court. It's because you're not dealing with the corporation. You're dealing with a private lender. That's why. That's what it sounds like. And to say that they don't have standing in court is improper. You're in a non-judicial state, okay? So with standing in a state that's a judicial state wouldn't be the same standing in a non-judicial state. And she's not understanding that, I don't think, yet. This was a documentation in 2025, okay, as far as I know. And so that's why I'm saying she wasn't understanding that at the time of this video, okay? Because people can recirculate old videos or pieces of it or what have you like that, especially if it was a 3 or 4 hour long video, if she chopped it down into hours, an hour a piece or so, I've done that. Anyway, the point is that she's speaking from her personal experience and limited understanding as to what in the world is going on here. All right. And she may have found herself a way to get remedy. It's what she's calling remedy. All right. But at the same time, she said that she's still facing them, the lender threatening to take her back into court, even though she had prevailed in previous cases. That means you haven't completely finalized or settled the case or submitted the proper documents that'll put a halt to that, to put a all the way halt to that. And people need to understand that there is documents that you can send and put a all the way halt to that. And where they can't keep threatening you. Now you feel like at any moment they may pursue a claim against you. That affidavit, once you submit an affidavit in that court, on that record, denying all obligations and requiring that they submit a wet ink signature and that nothing else will be sufficient because you are the original creditor and that you're claiming that you are the original creditor and no one else can contest that besides you because you are the only one with first-hand knowledge of the facts. Oh, that's a bad motherfucker right there. That's a bad motherfucker statement of facts. Not just a statement. Fact. It's a factual statement. And when you make that factual statement, who wrote the promissory note? The person who wrote the promissory note is the one that has superior claim to the note. Please understand that.
Because there are some things I want to point out to you, and then we're going to talk about how this securitization audit led me to the Treasury, okay? And so it says the deed of trust and note have taken two distinctly different paths. The deed of trust was never transferred. This redacted is just the value of my mortgage. It's the amount of it. For privacy, I redacted it. Okay, so the note may have been, however, pooled, sold, transferred with other loans and deed of trust. And this pool of loans and deed of trust in this security offering of $1 billion. Okay. Now, what that means is, what most people don't know is that with mortgages, the mortgage servicer does what's called a pooling and servicing agreement. With a pooling and servicing agreement, what they do is that they take my mortgage, they take your mortgage, they take a large number. So people who have applied for mortgages, they take everyone's mortgage and they put them all in one place called a REMIC, or a trust, okay? And so they take all of these mortgages, they pool them together, they put them into this one, we're going to call it like a treasure chest, okay, so to make it easy for you to kind of understand. So they take all of these, so someone like Planet Home Lending, okay, think they have hundreds of thousands of borrowers, okay, that have mortgages with their company. So what they do is that they take those thousands of mortgages and they put it in one big treasure chest. But because of the housing market crash of 2008, that treasure chest has to be in a treasure chest that is guaranteed by the government.
How to buy cheap government seized houses for $5,000 to $10,000, up to 90% below market value.
That treasure chest has to be in a treasure chest that is guaranteed by the government. Okay, that's a big one that most people don't know, is that type of regulation and oversight is happening with the mortgage company. And actually, this information was kept away from me by the mortgage company. I did not know that my mortgage was in a Ginnie Mae, which is a government service entity. It's a government, am I saying that right? A government, not service, a government sponsor entity. I misspoke. Okay, so they take all of these mortgages and they put them all in this one big treasure chest, and they say, hey, investors, we got a bunch of money in this treasure chest. Would you like to buy shares of it? Okay, and so what the mortgage company will do is that they'll sell off shares of that treasure chest, and investors, okay, can enjoy passive income. Okay, and so some of our mortgages, you got to think about the long game. Some of our mortgages, like if you borrowed $100,000 in 30 years, you would have paid back $300,000. And so from the perspective of an investor, that's a great return. Okay, and that's a great return. That's steady income, and that's attractive for investors. So they sell pieces of the treasure chest with our mortgages inside of it. Okay, and so this $1 billion, don't get confused. That's not all the money I generated on my own. That is the value of the treasure chest that my mortgage is in with other mortgages, if that makes sense. Okay, and so this treasure chest is worth $1 billion. Okay, and that's attractive for investors. And you see that the auditors found out that, the deed of trust and the note have taken two distinctly different paths, which is an example of bifurcation when the mortgage and the note are separated, which technically is illegal. Okay, and they're kind of telling me this from the get-go. All right, so now I know that my mortgage servicer is not holding my mortgage. The government is holding it. Okay, so keep this in mind as we go forward. Okay. All right, so this page is just nothing but like a copy of my deed of trust and things, and everything that's redacted is just my private information that I don't want shared. Okay, that's not important. All right, so this page is property REMIC search, okay? So the auditors they tracked my mortgage all the way to Ginnie Mae, okay? And when they found my mortgage in Ginnie Mae, what they were looking for, they wanted to be sure that someone could just be named Christina Wilson, okay? They want to be sure that this is the right mortgage. Okay, so what they did, they said it matches. Okay, it matches the loan number. This here redacted is my loan number. The original lender, it matches. Okay, so all of this, they wanted to be sure that they have the correct mortgage. So they were showing me that, listen, we tracked your mortgage down. We found it in this Jenny Mae Remick Trust. This government sponsored entity is holding it, not your servicer. Okay, and it's the right one. We got the QSIP numbers. We know how much the interest, this is my interest rate on my mortgage. We know how much my payment, okay, my payment amount was for the home. Okay, so they tracked it down. Now on the next page, you see how it says party defendants, because the auditor is looking like you sort of have a lawsuit on your hands, and we want to kind of tell you that up front. Okay, but you guys know me, that I'm learning that, listen, sometimes there's a time to fight and there's a time to not fight. Okay, so if you can arm yourself with information and then use that information to your benefit, like maybe you want to tell, say that, hey, I got this information that I was not privy to before. Okay, this sort of looks bad on your part. And when I say it looks bad on your part, I'm talking about the mortgage servicer, not so much as Jenny Mae, but Jenny Mae would be a defendant if I decided to sue, which I have. I've already sued the mortgage company. That's another thing that's taken up like a big chunk of my time, suing the mortgage company and then getting this audit and me having to like decipher it and translate it. Like, what does all of this stuff mean? Okay, and so on the next page, they talk about, that, hey, your mortgage is in this government. It's being monitored. It's being supervised by this government National Mortgage Association, also known as Jenny Mae. Jenny Mae is just a federal, it just guarantees loans, okay? It guarantees that if Christina doesn't, for whatever reason, if she loses her job, if she can't afford it, if something happens to Christina, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make the payment so that there is not a collapse of the mortgage.
They've been lying to you about how money really works, and it's robbing you of your financial security.
The mortgage industry, like it did in 2008 and in 1929, because this isn't the first time that something like this has happened. They just changed the name. That's all. They changed the name of things and they repackage it and bring it back to you again, and you think that you're looking at something new, and you're looking at the same thing from 1929, and you're looking at the same thing from 2008. Okay. All right, so you can read it. Guarantee Remick pass-through securities. Okay, they kind of give you an idea of everybody that's involved in the mortgage. Okay, I'm not going to read everything to you for the sake of time, but I will let you guys, I'm going to place a copy of my securitization audit into the Dropbox so that you can read it in its entirety, because I really do think you need to read it. You really need to read it. Okay? This is just given, it talks about what Jenny Mae is, what is it's guaranteed, how it works. Okay, so they did a really good job, giving me this information, okay, so that I could better understand different classes of securities, what is the function of Jenny Mae. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, so this in red is talking specifically about my mortgage. It says, the document is not available on the SEC website. Following this section would normally be the assignment of deed of trust type section of the prospective supplement, but this security has no such verbiage. Furthermore, there is no pooling and servicing agreement that is publicly available, thus extracts the conveyance of loans type section protection, normally Section 201 from any such PSA is not available. And so mortgage companies have to comply with certain pooling and servicing agreements because it is required due to the housing market crash of 2008 and the need for mortgage services to be regulated. And we know that some of these mortgage companies are crooks, okay? They don't want regulation, which is why I never knew that my government was being held by a government. It's being held by a federal agency. The federal government is holding my mortgage, not the mortgage servicer, because y'all couldn't be trusted, okay? Like you couldn't be trusted back in 2008, back in 1929, you couldn't be trusted. All right, so this diagram just kind of give me an idea of like where my loan went. So they just give you this this graph to kind of explain to you where the loan went, what happened with it. Like I told you in the beginning, I want to know who touched it, who breathed on it, okay? Let's see. All right, so Section 3 just talks about foreclosure, okay? So Section 3 talks about foreclosure. You know that, I'm reading, guys, sorry. Okay, so you know that, like, with me, I have not paid a mortgage. It's been 4 years now. It's been 4 years. And so I've been threatened with foreclosure and, you know, everything. But what the securitization audit found is that based on this, okay, there was supposed to be an assignment to say on the public record to say, hey, we're servicing Christina's loan, and as of now, we are transferring her loan into Jenny Mae Remick. Okay, and so the securitization audit identified that document must be filed and recorded before a proper foreclosure can proceed. So you know these people threaten me and we're going to foreclose, we're going to take your house, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Okay, but when I got the securitization audit, they were like, these people, how can they foreclose on a note that they don't have, a note that's been bifurcated, a note that's in a government-sponsored trust? So that was just this little note that they placed at the underneath this, that there is no assignment. And I checked the county record, I look at the record, and no, there isn't one. There is nothing. No, there was nothing. I never even knew, I never had a clue, okay, that Jenny Mae was holding my mortgage. Okay? And so I'm going to read a little bit more, and then I'm going to stop. And like I said, because this thing is like on nearly 40 pages, and then I have a whole nother PDF too that kind of goes along with this. And then I want to stop after this page, and then I want to talk to you about how I ended up at the Treasury from this securitization audit. I want to kind of give you some ideas. You don't have to go the way, I always say that, you don't have to go my way, okay? You can go your own way. But I want to give you some ideas. After reading these court cases, I know that we can't just take these securitization audits into court and be like, they pooled my mortgage into this trust, and all these investors, including the mortgage company, made a profit from this pooling and servicing agreement because I was not a party to that pooling and servicing agreement. And so that is what a couple of judges have concluded when they ruled against homeowners or borrowers who went and got these securitization audits and have taken these audits into court thinking that
in 30 days or less, my team and I will get you approved for $50,000 to $500,000 in low to 0% interest funding, no documentation required, no collateral, no proof of income, and no tax returns. After 5 years and over $90 million funded for over 15 entrepreneurs, business owners, and investors, I've got the bank relationships to get you approved with just one phone call, guaranteed. My name's Colin Matthew Dedeli, and after serving 8 years in the United States Marine Corps, I got out of the military to start a new mission to help entrepreneurs in America get access to cheap capital. So if you're a business owner, an investor, an entrepreneur, and you need access to capital to start or scale a business or invest in cash flowing assets, click the button below, book a call with my team, and we will tell you how much 0% funding you are pre-qualified for.
Do you want a ding to your credit? I don't want a ding. So when I needed a new credit card, I went to Experian. See these cards with no ding decline? Your credit won't take a ding if you're declined, so you can apply with confidence. Get the Experian app now.
These audits would support their claim of fraud, and it didn't. So I started looking at the securitization audit. Okay, so if this is not working in courts, how do I get the courts on my side? Especially if this mortgage is federally guaranteed. If it's guaranteed by the government, okay, then the courts, technically, they need to be on your side, especially if the securitization audit is identifying all of these things that did not happen, okay, then that means that the federal government is being tricked. I'm not going to say the fraud word, even though I think, that the mortgage company is getting over on the federal government as well as us, the borrower, quote unquote, okay? And so that's another way to look at it, how to use your securitization audit if you decide to get one. How to use your securitization audit, you look at it, okay, so what other way can I use this thing, okay? Well, from my securitization audit, it says that you failed to do all of these things, which U.S. Code, CFR, and all these other regulations say that you should have followed, okay? You should have followed these things. You did not. I'm just bringing this to the forefront. I'm just bringing this to the attention of the federal government or the federal judiciary, which if you're going to sue, especially based on a securitization audit, you will have to be at the federal level, just because Jenny May, like for me, my mortgage is VA. Right now, I'm at the state level, but I was at the state level before I had this securitization audit. Okay, so, but if you have the securitization audit and it's revealing to you all of these violations, well, these are violations not against you because you're not a party to the pooling and servicing agreement, but it's a violation to the federal government. Okay, and if they don't come forward, if you don't enforce your own rules, then we're lawless out here. And so that is one of the ways that you can look at the court to say, hey, are you not going to enforce? Or are you not enforce? The courts don't enforce. I apologize. The courts interpret. Okay, so are you not going to interpret this plainly to show that this mortgage servicer is possibly defrauding the federal government and how they're handling these mortgages? Okay. All right, so it says on March 9, 2020, Christina and Wilson executed a negotiable promissory note and a security interest in the form of a deed of trust in the amount that is redacted. This document was filed in the official county records in Texas. The original lender of the promissory note is Planet Home Lending LLC, MERS. Is not named as the payee of the note, but is named as acting solely as nominee for the lender as the beneficiary of the security interest deed. Okay. The note, based on research performed, was sold, transferred, assigned, and securitized into Jenny May Remick. Okay, with the closing date of. All right. No assignment of the deed of trust was recorded in the official records in Texas. Document must be filed and recorded before a proper foreclosure can proceed. Examiner considers this document of importance, requiring rescission for rightful foreclosure to take place until actual purchase by relevant parties can be verified. Okay, so this is saying a lot. This is saying a lot. And so what this is saying in a nutshell is like, how can you foreclose when you don't have the note? The government has it. And secondly, if you're claiming to own it, when did you pay for it? Which is something that, like, I've been saying, when did you pay for it? Because I never got a check. I don't know if y'all have heard me say that before. Like, you've never given me money, and they'll try to say, like, oh, we gave it to the person, the seller of the home. We gave the money to them. Okay, but where did you get the money from? That's the question. Where did the money that you gave the seller, where did that come from? Because you needed me to fill out all these applications and sign these instruments before this could happen. Okay? And so what they do, if you guys don't know, is they turn us into banks. Okay, so we're like temporarily turned into banks, and then we're turned back into an individual on paper. And you never see the switch happen. You don't know that it happens. So like if you go to Planet Home Lending's website, it says on their website like, hey, y'all know we're not a bank, right? Okay, so who was the bank, and where did you get the money from that you used to pay the seller according to you? All right, so they just give you more information. It's very good information, and if you guys want to read, like I said, I'm going to upload it. And they found so much wrong with it. And this is my mortgage is on the stock exchange, okay?
Hey everybody, Walton Goggins here. Starting a business is never easy, but with GoDaddy Arrow, that endeavor is about to become a whole lot easier. Hey, you got this? Create a website that looks like you know what you're doing, even if you don't know what you're doing, because you're using a website that developed a tool that knows exactly what it's doing. It helps you design a logo. This is what we came up with. We put it here, we put it everywhere on our website, and we even put it right here. What I'm telling you, from one central command center, you can have all your social media empire operating. You're doing it all. Everything. Fast. Let's go, Daddy!
I started working at the barbershop and realized I don't have any insurance. This is not good. Through healthcare.gov, I was able to find the right plan. Anytime something comes up, I'm covered. They literally had everything that I needed in one spot.
Healthcare.gov. Enroll by December 15th.
Okay. It's great information. I'm sorry for the pause. I'm just kind of breezing through it. Okay. So I want you guys, like, once I upload it to Dropbox, and I think like within the next week, like when I talk to the ITs, they say like within the next week, the Dropbox should be functioning. So everybody that paid and couldn't get access, what I told the ITs to do is to give all of those individuals a free 3 months, but I wanted it fixed before I started issuing those to people. So I wanted the Dropbox fixed, and then everybody that left because of these technical issues, I want you to come back. I'm going to give you a free 3 months. So when I go into Gumroad and I see everyone who's inactive, I'm going to reach out to them, okay, and just kind of let them know that it's been fixed. We want to give you 3 months, free service. And after that 3 months, if you decide to stay with us, you can. But if you want to go, that's okay too. I respect either decision that you make, okay? So that brings me to how I ended up at the Treasury, okay? Now, redemption only occurs with government obligations. When you guys get the chance to read my securitization audit, you're going to read that repeatedly throughout the government. This mortgage is a government obligation, government obligation, government. And it said it so many times. I'm like, okay, it's a government obligation. It's a government okay. It started to stick in my mind that this is a government obligation. And so in reading that this is a government obligation, okay, we know that the U.S. Treasury is responsible for redemptions, okay? Now, you guys have heard before other individuals they would say things like, all debts it is the obligation of the federal government. That is not fully, no. After this, I don't fully agree with that statement. Some debts are the obligation of the federal government, while others are not, okay? The reason that my mortgage is an obligation, your mortgage is an obligation of the federal government, is because of the guarantee, okay? Due to the housing market crash of 2008, like I stated before previously, the federal government started to guarantee mortgages. That guarantee qualified me for redemption, okay? So I have the exact forms that you use to redeem your mortgage. I have the exact information that you put on the Treasury Direct forms to redeem your mortgage. So in America, you got the right to believe what you want. That First Amendment is one. It's an amendment that is so misunderstood what that means. Freedom of religion. Okay, you have the right, and religion is not limited to churches. What you think about money, what you think about marriage, what you think about sex, what you think about family. Okay, these are all beliefs. And in America, you can believe whatever you want to believe. So if you believe that you're on the hook, let's say you signed a 30-year mortgage, that's your belief. Does that mean what you believe, does that mean that is reality? Not necessarily. Okay, and so I reached out to the Treasury to question them about these mortgage-backed securities and redemption. Can your forms, because the Treasury forms, and this is something that you need to know, the Treasury forms are particularly for Treasury bonds and marketable securities. However, the forms can be used for mortgage-backed securities if they are filled out correctly. Since the Treasury does not have forms, and they should, and I have written to them and I've stated to them that, listen, this is a big deal. You guys should have forms that are geared specifically for mortgages. But when I contacted them, they said, listen, we don't have forms specifically for mortgage-backed securities that are a direct obligation of the federal government. However, you can use these three forms that I used. You fill out these three forms with the correct information, okay? You send it to us, and it will take us approximately 2 weeks to 6 months, y'all. It takes anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months.
Your house has blind spots and they need to be fixed. Blind spots? What do you mean? Every house has corners that you can't see, especially when you're not home. Pets getting into mischief, kids playing in the other room, and strange noises at night. Yeah, I guess that's true, but why should I care? Aren't you curious about what goes on in your house when you're not home? Yeah, that's a good point. That's exactly why people are getting the Arlo Essential Pan-Tilt Indoor Camera. It's like having eyes everywhere inside your home. Wait, that would make me feel so much safer. And it gets better. This one has 360-degree pan and 180-degree tilt for full room viewing and no blind spots. It also has automatic motion tracking, so it follows your pets and intruders. 2K video with night vision, and two-way audio so you can speak right through the camera. Okay, this has to be expensive. It's usually $49, but right now for the holidays, it's only $14.99 on Amazon. Bro, that's practically free. Why wouldn't I buy one for every room? That's what everyone is doing, and they're selling out fast. Head to Amazon to buy now.
I was dead and now I'm alive, not because of anything I've done, but because everything he's done.
God is going to provide the way. You've got to work like you're going to make it happen and pray like God's going to make it happen.
It brings the greatest people around, different speakers, different areas itself. Each individual will find something that they need to find at any Life Surge event.
Maybe God brought you here for this moment.
A life-changing event is coming to your area. Get your tickets today.
To redeem your mortgage. So what that means is that let me explain it to you plainly so that you can kind of wrap your mind around how this economic system is working right now, okay? Right now, we are on what's called an income-based tax system. So what that means is that all of the infrastructure, our schools, our roads, okay, everything that we have is dependent upon us as taxpayers. So we have to go to work, okay, and we pay taxes so that we have the infrastructure, that we have access to student loans, that we have access to mortgages, that we have access to the things we need. But the money to fund these programs comes directly from us. So the money to fund the Department of Veterans Affairs comes from the taxpayers. The money to fund the Department of Education comes from the taxpayers because we have an income-based tax system, okay? The money to fund FHA, Jenny Mae, Freddie Mac, whatever their name is, though that money comes from the taxpayers, okay? You have to stop and think about this reasonably for a second. If the borrower, okay, in order to qualify for a mortgage, you have to have a job. You have to show steady income. You have to have decent credit. Okay, you have to show that you're stable enough to be able to take on this financial responsibility. Okay, so if you have to prove you have to have income. That income is being taxed. Most people, not all, some people don't pay, but you pay taxes in other ways. When you go to the gas pump, when you go to the grocery store, when you go, when you bought your house. Okay, so you're paying taxes in other ways. And that tax money went to fund the government entity that is holding your mortgage. Do you understand? Okay, so that government program has a direct obligation to you as a result. So in order for you to get this mortgage, you're a taxpayer and a borrower. You're both. Okay? And so what they do is that in order to, if the government is guaranteeing, they say, hey, that we're guaranteeing these loans, but where did you get the money to be able to guarantee these loans? You got it from the borrowers. Okay? So since the federal government got the money that they're using to guarantee everyone's mortgage from the borrowers, that entitles us all to redemption. I hope that is plain and clear to understand, okay? So, since the borrower is also the taxpayer, the person, the entity, the individual that is responsible for funding Jenny Mae, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, okay, FHA, the taxpayer funded that government program. That government program says, listen, we have an obligation to the borrowers, okay? But the borrower has to come forward into the federal government or to the federal program and say, listen, I have a beneficial interest in that mortgage that you're holding in this big treasure chest. I have an interest in it, okay? I would like to redeem this mortgage, just this piece of paper. When you redeem it, I'm entitled to exchange it for cash. Okay? All you're doing is a conversion. I'm entitled to redemption. Okay? Through the Treasury Direct forms. It was my securitization audit that gave me the CUSIP number, the name of the trust number. Okay? All of that information has to be supplied to the Treasury so that the Treasury can say, okay, a government entity is holding your mortgage and you want us to go to that treasure chest to get the amount of your mortgage out and transfer it to you. That's exactly what you're asking. That is what redemption is, okay? And they are obligated to do it. Okay, so I've already sent mine out now. You do not have to go about it the way that I went about it, okay? I'm not giving the mortgage company a dime. You're not getting a dime from me. All you got from me was a lawsuit because that's all you deserve. And so when they transfer your funds, if you decide to do the redemption, when they transfer you, let's say your mortgage, we're going to say, for example, your mortgage is $100,000. You've been paying on it for some time and you've paid off $50,000, which means that you only owe the mortgage company $50. You give them $50 out of the $100 that the Treasury transfers to you, and you pocket the other $50. Okay, so now you've gotten rid of the mortgage, you've got your house free and clear, and you got 50 grand in your pocket, if that makes sense. Or if you're like me, okay, nope, I sued the mortgage company and the redemption proceeds are in my pocket, okay, because it is owed to me, not to them. Okay, and they have been nothing but dishonest. And this securitization audit is nothing but just pointing out all the dishonesty. So if they were doing honest business, why didn't they tell me that the government was holding my mortgage? Because they didn't want me to redeem it. They want it in there for 30 years so that they can continue passive income for their investors. And as a result, Planet Home Lending makes money as well in servicing fees. So of course they don't want me to know that my mortgage, and they don't want you to know either, that your mortgage is being held by the federal government, because the mortgage company can't be trusted. And here is another example of why they can't be trusted. Look at them. Look at what they've done to me. Okay? So I've made, and this will not be an ebook, y'all. I am so sorry. It will not be an ebook, okay? It won't be, and this is not even the right,
Big expenses? Meet your big financial friend, Experian. Your BFF can reveal surprising ways to help you save. That way, you're always ready for what's unexpected or whatever you're planning next. So achieving your financial goals becomes easier because you're one step closer to reaching them with your big financial friend, Experian.
It's that time again. Wayfair's Black Friday sale is back. Right now, get up to 80% off area rugs, up to 65% off kitchen and dining, and up to 60% off bedroom furniture and mattresses, plus way more doorbuster deals. All with fast and free shipping on everything, just in time for the holidays. These are Wayfair's lowest prices of the year, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale now at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
This is the wrong cover, but I have been working on a few different, this is the wrong cover, but it looks something similar to this, y'all. Whatever, just for this video. So this is not the official cover. I definitely made a bunch of changes, like all this, I'm like, what is all this water, like bubbles down here? I don't understand. And they got the Treasury seal over here, and I'm like, no, take that off, it looks bad. So this is not the final cover, but this will not be offered in the ebook. I'm sorry. The ebook is too susceptible to fraud, to scams, to theft, okay? And I worked my ass off to get this information. I had to bend some fingers backwards, okay, when I was on the phone with Jenny Mae and the Treasury Direct. Now, it's not because they were trying to hide it from me, y'all. Like I told y'all before, honestly, some of these people don't know this. They don't know. They truly don't know. And so when you approach them and you're asking them about this, and it's like, I've never heard that before. That sounds like something, something crazy. And then when you finally get to a person, they say, oh yeah, we can redeem it. Unfortunately, we don't have a form specific to that, but you can take the redemption forms and you can modify them. So meaning you can fill out certain lines on the forms with the information that we would need to go to Jenny May. We identify the treasure chest. Remember, I told you the trust, we're going to call it, and I talk like this in the ebook. I have started, not the ebook, y'all, the book, because I will not be releasing any other ebooks. But in the book, I talk like this, okay? So I call the trust like a treasure chest. And I start to use, and it's not to offend y'all, so don't be offended, but I use like childlike language in the book, okay? So I translate the language to you when they're using these complex terms like a REMIC trust, okay? And QSIP numbers. What does this mean? Well, the securitization audit is the map, and the QSIP number is the number that identifies the treasure chest. Okay, so I talk like this in the ebook to make it easy enough for you to to digest it, because most people think that, oh, I'm stupid, or I'm slow, or I don't get it, and that is not the case. It's just that this is language this is verbiage that even some of it even still trips me up sometimes, and I have to sit and I'm like, okay, I have to use this language in a different context. I have to translate it, because otherwise I do not understand what's being said to me, if that makes sense, okay? So I am working on the book. I have editors, y'all, so I've paid for editors to come in, because this is a big deal. These are houses we're talking about, and so I do not want to release my book and leave out something or forget something. So I have editors, I have people proofreading it, even an attorney that helped me. And this is an attorney I trust, okay? And they're not with the bar. Like, they have given up on the bar, and they work for themselves, and we found each other and we help each other. And so when I brought this to the attorney, they were like, holy shit, do you know? Even some of the attorneys didn't know this. And they were like, well, I knew that the government federally guaranteed it, but I did not know how this tied into the Treasury. Like, Christina, girl, you're on to something, you know what I mean? And so I have them, since they have been exposed to this language, to be my translator. And then once they translate it and then I read it, I have to agree with the translation. So that's how my relationships work. It's not just I'm so smitten by this person, or I think that they're so smart, or they're so smarter than me because they're an attorney, and my friend knows I mean no harm or no offense to them if they're listening, but I have to be sure that you and I are equal, so that there is never a situation where I'm acting as if I'm subordinate to someone simply because of their title. Okay? And so I'm working on it. It's almost complete. I have a few more things. I want to put templates in there. I want to show you guys how to do lawsuits if you want to go my way, how to file your lawsuit, give you an example of my lawsuit, what it looks like, okay, how to get the process started. If you're paying a mortgage, I got templates in there to ask the mortgage company to give you some grace, okay, while you're going through this redemption process, because it can take up to 6 months. So this is not something you'll get back in like a couple of days. This can take some time. And so I want to be sure that I have a section in the book for communication, so that you can start, even though I hate these damn scoundrels, okay? You know, I hate talking to the mortgage company, because I think that these people are so disgusting and so dishonest, but I have to force myself to communicate with them and still handle my business, even though I really don't want to talk to you, because I think you're freaking disgusting, and I do not like what you do to me, and I don't like what you do to other people, okay? But in there, I want to show you like how to communicate with them, how to ask them plainly, did you transfer your mortgage? There's a small number, about 20 to 25% of people who have mortgages who decided that they wanted nothing to do with the federal government, and they went a different way. If you're one of those individuals and you don't have a FHA loan, please do not purchase this book, because It will not work for you. This is only for VA-backed mortgages, FHA.
Michael's Cyber Sale is going on now. Get up to 70% off online-only deals from canvas and yarn to frames, floral, and more. These incredible savings won't last long. Shop now at michaels.com.
As a mom of 2 boys, having health insurance is extremely important. I am beyond thankful of having coverage through healthcare.gov. It covers all of our doctor's appointments, including emergency care.
Healthcare.gov. Enroll by December 15th.
Hey, if you have Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, okay, if you have a mortgage affiliated with the HUD, okay, I'm just going to say HUD because the HUD is like the umbrella for all of them, everybody. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, okay, is all under HUD. So if you have a FHA loan, the redemption process can work for you. If you do not have a FHA loan, I don't think you should. You don't waste your money on this, okay? Also, I have a Q&A. I know people are going to have questions like, well, Christina, if you could do this for a mortgage, can you do this for auto loans, okay? No, I've tried every which way. I've tried to bend it, tweak it, every which way I could to use redemption on auto loans, and I couldn't. And the reason is because the trust that auto loans are securitized into, they have no government oversight. These are private trusts. And so therefore, if you send a redemption request to the Treasury to say, hey, I want you to go into that Wells Fargo trust and get my auto loan out of it, I want to redeem it for cash, the Treasury is going to tell you, no, we can't go into there. That's a private trust. But if a trust like Ginnie Mae or some sort of government sponsored entity was holding your auto loan, you would qualify for a redemption. But in this case, you don't, okay? So I'm going to answer those type of questions like in a Q&A section. Can I use this for auto loans? No, not from what I can see. Now, you know, I'm open if someone else has a different way that you can do it. I can't see it. The only thing I know of as of this point that helped me with my automobiles is title acquisition. And y'all remember, I shown y'all my titles. Y'all remember Capital One was around here threatening me, and they like, we finna drag you into court because you owe us money and you out here taking liens off of your, how dare you take your lien, your voluntary lien off of your car without us knowing, and we want to sue you. And I'm like, oh my God, please, yes, sue me so I can do discovery on you, so I can really find out how much criminal activity has been taking place on these loans. They got out of Dodge. I haven't heard from a Capital One, from a they got out of Dodge, y'all. Okay. So like so you know, Capital One was threatening me from title act. Well, we're gonna sue you. We're gonna, okay, baby, equal protection under the law. If you protect them crooks and you saying what I'm doing is wrong, when they're okay, so everybody, we are all out here taking advantage of each other. But if you want the system to be fair, okay, well then enforce the rules against them to be fair. And I have no problem digging in my pockets paying if I owe. Okay, that matters, if I owe. And they haven't been able to prove that I owe, so as far as I'm concerned. All right, so title acquisition for cars, it's the best that I have right now. I'm done modifying a lot of these ebooks, y'all. I just have to print them, and I don't think with the borrow from yourself with the updated version or title acquisition updated version, none of these books will be available for ebook. All of them I'm going to hold physical copies. I am holding especially for the settlement and closure. Like, the value of this thing is crazy, okay? And I have not heard, I don't know, maybe there are others. I'm not saying that no one else has done the mortgage redemption process. I'm saying that I don't know of anyone, okay? So when I'm like, I learned that like if I'm first in something and doing something, like I sort of have to protect it because I've gotten a lot of my stuff stolen from me. Y'all know all this impersonation is going on, and I have people cursing me like, Christina, I bought this product or service from you and I didn't get it and I didn't do this, and then come to find out that they purchased the product or service from someone impersonating me. Okay? So settlement and closure will only be available, like, I'm not even doing it through Amazon. I'm going to hold the physical copies of my book, and you buy directly from me and I'll ship.
Hey everybody, Walton Goggins here. Starting a business is never easy, but with GoDaddy Arrow, that endeavor is about to become a whole lot easier. Hey man, you got this. Create a website that looks like you know what you're doing, even if you don't know what you're doing, because you're using a website that developed a tool that knows exactly what it's doing. It helps you design a logo. This is what we came up with. We put it here, we put it everywhere on our website, and we even put it right here. What I'm telling you, from one central command center, you can have all your social media empire operating. You're doing it all. Everything. Fast. Let's go, Daddy!
Get ready to relax with stress-free banking at Credit Karma.
Feel the tension melt away with a checking account that's 100% free to open.
Cha-ching.
And experience the pure euphoria that only a high-yield savings account can deliver.
Start your financial self-care routine with Intuit Credit Karma today.
Ship to you. Okay, so it will not be available in an ebook, and it is very thorough, and you have to give it time. It takes about 6 months for them to redeem the mortgage and transfer it to you. I give you step by step. I include my securitization audit, even though I don't go into details about like the pros and the cons of a securitization audit. I'm going to do that in a separate book. Okay, where I just talk about securitization audits and court cases, like how for individuals who, some individuals don't have mortgages, okay, they paid them off already, but they, may have been defrauded or may have been tricked, out of paying money that they shouldn't have paid to their mortgage company. You know what? I want to go after them. The securities, I'm telling you in the ebook, like how to use your securitization audit, like the different ways that you can look at your securitization audit. And you want your friend of the federal government, hey, look, federal government, I'm just coming to you that this company is violating all your rules. They have not followed a single rule that you put. And if you do not enforce your rules against them, you're going to have another 2008 on your hands. Is that what you want? Do you want another 2008? Okay, well, then you have to pursue this company and you have to enforce your rules. Okay. And so in a lawsuit like that, you and the federal government are both the plaintiffs. Okay. So you don't go into court by yourself. You get the federal government to come in because they have an interest in enforcing their own rules. Okay, so I'm going to do that securitization audit in a separate book so that I don't overwhelm you in settlement and closure. Settlement and closure is simply how to fill out the Treasury Direct forms, the forms that you need, the statements that this packet is kind of thick, y'all. This is not a thin packet that you're sending off to the Treasury for redemption. It is a nice size packet, okay? So you have to go slow. I include a checklist, okay? So you're going to go through the book and you're going to check off, I did this part. And you're going to check the next box, okay, I did this. I got copies of my deed, I did that. I have copies of my Social Security card. I have copies of my passport or my driver's license, okay? And I'm going to include a checklist so you check off everything on the checklist to be sure that your packet is complete as possible so that you can get your Treasury Direct forms into the Treasury so that they can begin the process of redeeming your mortgage out of these government-sponsored trusts that they are in. And once you have the money, what you do with it is your business, okay? So like I told you with the Q&A, I know some people think that, Christina, I did this process and it didn't work, and I tried that process. And, I have people that tried a process or they've done a process and it worked too well with them. It worked too good. I gave one girl that, like with the borrow from yourself, every time she fills out a package, she gets a check every single time. Okay, and then I have some people that every time they fill it out, it doesn't work for them. Okay? And the one thing about any of these processes is guarantee. If I put on any of my books that, hey, I can guarantee you 100%, that's a scam. Nobody can guarantee you 100% in anything. But what I can guarantee you is that majority of mortgages out here, 70 to 80%, are obligations of the federal government. I can guarantee that 70 to 80, but that's not 100%. Okay, so there is no 100% in anything. And anybody that is selling you, oh, this is 100% guaranteed to work, this might be somebody that's either mistaken or they're a scammer, okay? Because being able to guarantee someone like that means you have control over everyone involved. I don't control the agents. I don't control their computers over at the IRS. I don't know why they're pressing approve for this person and not approving for that person. I can't control those outcomes, okay? So I don't want to, like, with you guys, like, oh, Christina, can you guarantee me 100%? I can't. Okay, but I can be as transparent with you as possible, especially with, like, I thought about, like I said, car loans when I did the mortgage redemption. And I'm like, well, shit, if I can do the mortgage redemption, we can do the same thing with car loans. Okay, and maybe that could be an addition to the Title Act, but it does not work. It does not work. It does not matter which way I tried it. It doesn't work for auto loans. Okay, and so one thing before I wrap this video up, because I've been talking for some time and I haven't talked to you guys in a while.
When you need a lift, you could use a big financial friend, your BFF, Experian. Strong enough to help you push past financial obstacles. So even when you have a big expense, you have new solutions that can make a big difference. Well, you do have that big financial friend, wherever your journey takes you. Experian.
And one thing that you need to know, and I need you to listen to me closely. One thing that you need to know about the settlement and closure book, okay, is that there are some things you need to have before, listen to me. There are some things you need to have before you purchase the book. The things you need to have a securitization audit. There is information in the audit you're going to need in order to place that information on your Treasury Direct forms. This is non-negotiable. I don't know how to get CUSIP numbers. I don't know how to find out which government trust, because everyone's mortgage may not be in a Ginnie Mae Remick. It could be in a trust named something, a government-sponsored trust named something else, okay? The only way that I know how to locate the CUSIP numbers, the name of the trust, the date it was transferred into the trust, the only way I know how to get that information are through securitization audits. So you're going to have an audit before you purchase this book, okay? Do not, and I'm going to include that when I start marketing and running the sales for the book. I'm going to include that. Do not purchase this book if you do not have a securitization audit. Maybe some of you guys have connections. Maybe you know a real estate a person, a real estate attorney or agent or a mortgage broker, if you know someone who can get it for you, I'm going to tell you the pieces of information that you're going to need in order for you to be able to complete the Treasury Direct forms. You absolutely need a QSIP number. You absolutely need a name of the government-sponsored trust that is holding your mortgage. You need the number. There are numbers that come along with that government sponsor. You have to know this information in order for the Treasury to be able to find exactly where your mortgage is so that they can redeem it for you. Okay, like I said, the Q&A section is going to cover a lot of your questions. Do I need a Treasury Direct account? No, I don't have one. Okay, I don't have a Treasury Direct account. The Treasury says as long as you provide us your banking information and proof that you are the owner of the account, you don't have to have a Treasury Direct account. We can wire the funds directly to your bank account. Okay? The book is going to include follow-up, how to follow up, how long you should wait before you follow up. I'm going to include emails, okay? So emails between myself and Jenny Mae and the Treasury. I'm going to include some of my own personal information like I've done before in the past. I'm going to include into the book. So it is a comprehensive redemption for mortgages manual. Okay, and so all of that will be included in the book. Let me see, it's something that I'm missing. So again, one more time, before you can utilize settlement and closure for mortgage redemption, you need a securitization audit, or you need someone who can get those three pieces of information for you. I don't know how to get it. Okay, if somebody out there knows how to get it, I just opened up a market for you. I just told you a market, and you can offer the service to people. Now you got a job. You have a business you can start. Okay, telling people, listen, I know how to go get your QSIP numbers. I know how to find out what government-sponsored trust is holding your mortgage. I know how to get that for you. If you know how to get that information, you have to get that information before buying the book. And I'm going to have it in bold. And I'm going to have disclaimers every step of the way. If you do not have these three pieces of information, this will not work for you. Okay? It will not, because you're missing essential information that has to go on the Treasury Direct forms. Okay? So I'm sorry I've been away from you guys for so long, but I am expecting more children. The stork is coming in, and I sort of just kind of like went into hiding, you know, when I found out, like, oh my God, I'm having another more babies coming. And then I got, you know, the babies I already got, and so I felt like, you know, they were kind of falling to the wayside. So I just kind of, you know, been taking care of them and trying to prepare mentally for the birthing process again. And that's about it. So I am not under investigation. I have not been arrested. I have not been abducted. I've heard so many crazy things. None of those things have happened.
I started working at the barbershop and realized I don't have any insurance. This is not good. Through healthcare.gov, I was able to find the right plan. Anytime something comes up, I'm covered. They literally had everything that I needed in one spot.
Healthcare.gov. Enroll by December 15th.
How's the bird looking? Perfect, good. Nah, it ain't. It's still in the package. I know. I'm trying to put in this Prize Picks lineup. Do I go more or less on the Philly quarterback? Definitely more. He's balling. Okay, I was thinking that. All right, boom. Okay, now I can focus on these other dishes. You got other dishes? Yeah, I got potatoes in there. But they kind of doing their own thing. Don't worry about it. Oven's on fire. Nah, don't worry about it.
Pick, predict, play. Download today. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
None of those things have happened. Okay, so Let me think. I want to be sure I cover everything. Yeah, nothing bad has happened to me. And if something happens, y'all know I'm transparent. I'll tell you, like, y'all, the marshal showed up at my door. Nobody has contacted me in regards to it. I have done nothing wrong, okay? So, no, I have not gotten in no trouble. I ain't been arrested. I read y'all's messages all the time. I read y'all's messages. People, say crazy things. I heard she in federal prison. And I'm like, what? No, not me. So everything, I want to be sure I covered everything with the Dropbox. Please be sure if you subscribed and you couldn't get in. Some people subscribe and they get in. That's why it's still functional, okay? Some people subscribe and they get access, and then some people subscribe and they don't. And then the individuals that I add manually, the system is like, you ain't supposed to be in here. We don't know how you got in here, and it kicks you out, okay? Those are all the things that kind of has to be fixed, okay? And I'm not going to apologize no more, because people were like in the comments talking smack, talking about all she does is apologize. And I say, see how people try to take my kindness for weakness, they try to take me. I just wanted to, have empathy. Like, God, I know what it's like to buy something and you don't get what you pay for. So it's like I don't intend for this to happen. So I'm kind of trying to show humility and empathy, that I'm sorry that happened. I'm not really tech savvy, but I've paid crazy amounts of money to fix this problem, okay? And I didn't know that it took this long to fix, but it's in the works. And I'm thinking, I just talked to the ITs and we meet weekly, and so I'm thinking that this is the last week and that it should be functional after this week. And once Dropbox is back functional, I'll feel comfortable with going forward and releasing more documents, more information that you guys can use, especially with the FOIAs. The FOIA requests, I'm not going to go into it because it's going to make this video longer. The FOIA requests are the most underused tools of evidence in existence that I know of, that people are not using the FOIAs correctly. I know because I got information that I was not supposed to have from a well-written FOIA. And with the FOIA request, you have to be specific. You cannot ask for, give me all records related to this. No, you have to be specific. What specific records are you looking for? Okay, a well-written FOIA got rid of traffic tickets. I know how to get rid of traffic tickets with a well-written FOIA request. And so I wanted to get that ebook out to you. That I will release as an ebook. Okay, so some I will release as ebooks, and some under no circumstances I will not, like the settlement and closure, because I'm sorry, it's too valuable and I work too hard on it, okay? And it's too susceptible to exploitation because of the type of information. Now, the settlement and closure is not just for individuals in foreclosure, it's for whoever has a mortgage. So even if you have a mortgage and you got the right to believe what you want, okay? But if you no longer want to pay this mortgage anymore, settlement and closure is an option for you, okay? So let me think. That's all I got, y'all. It won't be so long the next time I talk to y'all. I'm going to start back up on the Patreon, y'all. That Patreon, I can't upload, like with Patreon, a lot of my features are disabled. So like with videos, I wanted to be able to upload videos to Patreon and documents and things like that. But you have to use until certain features are unlocked within Patreon. I don't know if other content creators back me up on this, but like for videos, I have to use third-party platforms like Vimeo. And so what was happening is I'm trying my best to keep this information private, but people keep coming out and they talk too much, okay? And then when y'all go to these agencies and they start talking this crap, talking about, this is a sovereign, this is a fringe movement, okay, trying to discourage you from what you're doing, is because I got people. I can't control everybody. I'm trying to control the information for this reason, okay, so that it's not leaked all over the place. And then when I go to the IRS, they know me by name. They know me by name over at the IRS because all of these leaks and because people are just, bringing it all out into the public. That's the point of the Dropbox, to keep it private so that when you guys do start, when you go to execute these things.
Steven, this credit improvement success rate by Credit Karma is stunning.
Oh yeah, it's an elegant way to show you use Credit Karma to learn about the factors affecting your credit and how to get your scores from there. Ooh. Download Intuit Credit Karma for free and start successorizing your credit today.
Team, it's been a grind, but I think I've aged you well. Some might say perfect. Who's ready to show 'em who's the cheesiest?
I woke up feeling the cheesiest, coach!
Cheez-It, official sponsor of the college football playoff.
The IRS don't know where you got this information from. Well, where did you learn that from? All throughout the Borrow From Yourself is nothing but IRS instructions. That's why it's included. Well, I got this from you, IRS. Okay, so a part of me trying to keep it private is really to protect you when you're doing these processes until you better understand what you're doing, because right now you really don't have an understanding and you're really just kind of going off. It sounds good. It sounds reasonable, so I'm going to do it. And so I'm trying to protect you, because these agencies are getting liquidated. Go look at the bankruptcy, Pacer, if you have Pacer. Oh, some of your favorite companies and government corporations are in bankruptcy. And so what do you think they're going to do? Well, we go bring a case for fraud. Fraud carries with it intent. So if the government is coming at me saying that I'm committing fraud, then you have to know what I was thinking. Who are you, God? My intent was fraud. You know what my intent was or is? The government, the same program that you use my tax money, you're using my tax money. Remember, we're on an income-based tax system. Now we're trying to move over to a tariff-based tax system where the foreigners that's importing all their stuff into our country, we're trying to move over to a tariff-based system where the foreigners pay for our infrastructure to give us some relief. Because you want to sell all your stuff to us. Well, why should you sell your stuff to us for free and then you slap tariffs on us? Well, why can't we slap tariffs on you back? So I want to see us moved over from this income-based tax system into a better tax system, especially since we're being preyed upon by foreigners, y'all. And it's crazy. Like, when you get into it, we really are being invaded by foreigners. These are foreigners doing this to us with the help of some Americans. Yes, it's true. But it is foreigners that's taking advantage of us. Okay, so that's all I got for you guys. I know y'all talk about consultations. I really feel I'm trying to save y'all some money. I really feel like you do not have to talk to me that bad. But if you do, okay, if you do, I do have some help. I have a buddy that's a police officer. I have a friend that I do trust that is an ex-attorney, okay, where I can consult with them about your issue, and then I come sit with you and I consult and we talk about a solution for whatever the problem is you bring to me. So I'm trying to set that up right now, and I want to screen you first. So when you come and say, Christina, I need to talk to you, okay, I need to screen you to find out exactly what you want to talk to me about, and I can tell you up front whether or not consulting with me will be in your best interest. So if you want to come and consult with me about something like, I want to get a family member out of jail, okay, I do not have a lot of experience in that. So what I would do is give you your money back. Nope, I can't really touch that. Okay, so I don't want to waste your money or your time because I don't spend a lot of money on, I have some ideas about it. I have some information on it, but I have not extensively looked into, how to get some of y'all kinfolks out of jail. I gave tips like in previous Zooms and things like that. I've given tips, but I will resume the Zooms. I have to figure a better way to do the Zooms, because the Zooms, I schedule them for 1 to 2 hours, and these things can go up to 7, 8, 9 hours. I can't do that. So I have to better structure the Zooms, better market them so you guys know the dates and the times. But I am going to start back up the Patreon. It's just that I can't share the videos on Patreon anymore because, like I said, if I upload the videos to Patreon through Vimeo, then people could just backdoor. They don't have to have access to Patreon. They could go right to Vimeo and they could hear and see everything we talked about. And so that's what I'm looking for, somewhere like we can talk privately, okay, so I can give information privately, okay, so that your chances of success is increased substantially if I can control the information. But if people are running to the IRS and they're like, hey, I got this. From someone, you didn't get that from me, you got that from the IRS. It says it in their instructions. I just interpreted it for you, translated it for you. You didn't get it from me. All right, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to limit, and it's hard, y'all, because my name, that's another thing that's like creepy to me. Like, my name is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm like, oh my God. Okay, I don't think I want that. I'm just, I'm just a mom, like I'm just, I don't think I wanted all this, my name to kind of grow to what it was. Some people are like, oh, it's a blessing, but yeah, it could be a blessing and a curse. Okay. So I'm trying to prepare for it, and then I'm trying to what's the name? Like technology wise, like automate the business so I have to be present for everything. Like everything I have to, you know what I mean? And it's not feasible, in a business to I got to run YouTube. I got to run Patreon. I have to run this and run that. So I have to automate these things or else I'm going to collapse, y'all. I feel like that's kind of why I've been away a little bit, is because I've just burned out a big part of it. Really. I'm really burned out and tired. Okay, but it's good to talk to y'all as always, and we'll talk, okay? Bye.
Hey y'all, so I just downloaded the Experian app because I wanted to check my FICO score, but it does so much more. This thing shows you your FICO score, you can get your credit card recommendations, and it shows you ways to save money.
See all you can do with the free Experian app. Download it now.